Hi everyone, it's Niamh here. Welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing with some simple abstract backgrounds and using some transparencies to tie it all together. So I'm starting off with some vintage papers and rice papers and bits of wrapping paper that I have sort of collected from here, there and everywhere. I'm just using some gel medium to sort of glue it all over, and there's no rhyme or reason to how I'm doing it. I'm just sort of filling in some gaps and spaces. So I've got some printed ledger paper, I think that one's a rice paper, it's been stamped on. Anything you've got. I have tended to go with sort of neutrally colours when I'm doing this. No real reason for it. Most of my text bits and pieces are neutrally colours, but it sort of, I knew it was just going to be a little bit of something in the background, so I wasn't too concerned about it. The little quotes I've got there are sort of random leftover pieces from rice paper images that have been cut out and I haven't really used anywhere else. Now, one of my tricks to sort of blend everything together with collage pages is to put a really light coat of gesso over the top, and I tend to use a brush that I've used with my gel medium, so it's really light, and you can still see what's going on in the background but it takes out all the different layers of color, I suppose, that you've got in it. For this piece, I am working wet on wet, so nothing's actually dried yet. All those colors are still wet and blended together, and I'm being really rough and ready in how I am applying it. So you can sort of see the brush strokes and how they're going into each other. Once I've finished with that, I'm going in with my Stabilo oil pencil and drawing into the wet paint and doing a little bit of mark making, and then I'm just going in with some gesso with my finger to blend it together. And I really love doing this because it does two things. One, it sort of fills up any gaps or any rough edges that I'm not too keen on, and I can sort of blend them together with my finger. But the other thing it does is the gesso obviously activates the Stabilo oil pencil, which is a water activated pencil, and it helps sort of get that beautiful smoky black grey color come through, and just softens it off a little bit as well, which is really cool. Next thing I'm doing is going in with some background stamps and some black ink. Now, most of these are just really delicate dot patterns, just to add that little bit of extra shade and contrast and mark making. So obviously, if you wanted to and you didn't have the stamps, you could get your fine black pens and do the similar sort of stuff, just sort of dot in the background. Then I'm going in with a really chunky white crayon. This is a funny old crayon. I don't really know what it is. It's very white. It stinks a little bit. It's oil based, I do know that, but it certainly stands up to drawing over it. But again, if you had a chunky Stabilo woody, you could use that over the top, or obviously paint in a wider brush and so on. And then using the black gloss spray or black acrylic ink to spritz across the top, again sort of to tie it all together, and then going back in with my Stabilo oil pencil to do some ischemic writing over the back. And I've got a white pencil too that I'm doing the same. So once I've sort of got my background all together, I'm then thinking about what I'm going to put over top. Oh, no, I'm going in more mark making because it's me. So you can sort of see I'm just mixing and matching all the different materials I've got. Now, obviously, from this distance on the camera, you think, well, what was the point in putting that collage underneath? It does peep through. So when you look at it closely, you will see those layers coming through. Some of them will be quite subtle, and that's okay, and some of them will be a little bit bolder, but it's just about those layers in the background. So I'm grabbing out my Transparencies, and I'm just going to cut and trim them up. So I have been using these a little bit, and I have to admit, when I first started using Transparencies a while back with Scrap FX still does Transparencies. I used to find them quite difficult to glue down. I was always concerned that, you'll see the glue and so on. In actual fact, when you glue them down, the glue dries clear and you really can't see them. I do tend to put the glue where the printed bit is. But if you're gluing it onto a background like this, you really don't notice it at all. Lots of people do, use staplers or different bits and pieces to glue them all to pop them onto your page. I prefer to use glue, I have to say. I just find it that little bit easier. So now I'm just going through and gluing my bits and pieces down, and I was trying to work out, did I want to put them in front of my image or behind my image? So you can see with that light circle, I've actually glued those figures behind. With this little circle down the bottom here, it was obviously over the bend of the page, so I actually cut it in half and put it on either side just to help that bend, because obviously this is quite thick transparency, so there would be a bit of, not an issue, but it might prevent the page from bending so much. Then I'm just going in with my figures and gluing them down, and you can see how I'm trying to ground my figures. So they're touching the circles in some way, shape or form. Either their bottom's touching it so it looks like they're hanging, or their feet are on the edges of the circle. So I know they are still defying gravity, but it kind of makes sense in some way. Final thing that I'm going to do on my page is add some words. So I'm just going through my little Tim Holtz sticker book. This is the one just with individual words in it. I think it's called Small Talk. I can't remember. And it's just got individual words, so you can kind of make up your own quotes or put, values or words that are important to you in these. Final thing I'm going in and doing is just adding a little bit of detail with my white pen, or 3 dots as the case may be. I thought I actually drew around the outside of the circles, but I am going in with my heart washi, because I love my heart washi, and putting them on the little figures. So it just adds that little bit of colour to them. For me, it sort of humanises them a little bit by having those little heights on them. So I really like doing that to my pages. It's just something that I find really useful. Finally, I obviously had the black in the background, but I just wanted to add a little bit of extra blue to sort of tie it all together as well. This is a close-up of the final page, and you can see those layers from the background. So they're just peeping through with the mic making and so on, and it really helps to sort of tie it all together with these abstract floating figures. So I hope you have a go at trying your own abstract background. Obviously use it in any way you want, either in your journal as a page, cut it up and use it as die cut pages or ACTs, whatever you fancy, but it's a really useful technique to have in your tool belt. Till next time, bye for now.